Thank you to those on the call. I'm Brianne Vales. As I've met many of you, I'm the manager for the Homeless Contribution Income Tax Credit, or HCTC. Thank you to those who already put your name and organization name in the chat. If you haven't done so, please do that. Oftentimes in these office hours, questions come up, or requests for resources. So that we know who you are, so that we can follow up with you. That's very helpful. I do have some reminders today about intermediary organizations, some media resource updates, kind of as a follow-up to our training last month, and then a couple of reminders regarding Salesforce glitches that are occurring right now, and program reminders. So after this portion, we'll have plenty of time for just general questions that aren't on these topics. It'll be an open forum after we go over these updates and reminders, but feel free to put something in the chat or raise your hand. Office hours is pretty informal if you have something you want to clarify as I'm talking about it. So we'll get started with intermediary organization reminders and just some clarifications. So an intermediary organization is defined as a 501c3 by statute. And so it's a nonprofit that basically passes the funds from the donor to you as the recipient organization. So like we have shared before, Colorado Gives is a very common example. United Way is a common example. And there are others besides those two as well. But I wanted to highlight a couple organization types that are not intermediary organizations, and that would be like a financial institution and a donor advised fund. So we've had some folks who maybe receive a check from a financial institution, and it's on behalf of the donor. And especially if it's an IRA, qualified charitable distribution, or QCD from the IRA, it's a little confusing because it looks like the check is from Fidelity or Charles Schwab. And that donation is not actually from Fidelity. It's from that donor's account. It's from that donor's money. They have ownership of it. It just has some restrictions because it's in an IRA account. And so the distribution is a little different than, a regular bank account. And so usually on the check stub, it does indicate that it is a QCD, or a distribution from the donor's account. And so that should be enough documentation for you to be able to clarify, okay, this is not a donation through an intermediary. This is really from the donor specifically, because, that is the donor's account. And so that's kind of the difference between a QCD and an intermediary organization. We have messaged many times that donor advised funds are unfortunately not eligible for HCTC. It's kind of a technicality within tax policy as far as donor advised funds and how they act differently than an intermediate organization as far as the transfer of funds and just legally what it looks like there. So that decision for those not being eligible was based on advice from the Department of Revenue. And that is consistent, I believe, with the other income tax credits that are available within the state of Colorado as well. So I know this can be a sticky point with some donors, and I'm happy to chat. We can, if you want to talk about that today, we can talk about ways to message that with your donors or how to navigate those conversations. But just wanting to make that clear that we're very happy about the legislation that changed the requirement for intermediaries, but that did not include donor advised funds. They are still not eligible for HCTC. Just a reminder about fees regarding intermediaries, including Colorado Gives. Fees are disregarded. So if someone chooses to cover a fee, they don't get a tax credit for the fee that they covered. If they choose not to cover a fee, then they are not penalized for that. If they give you $100, but Colorado Gives only sends you $95 because they took out $5 in fees, that donor still gets credit for their $100 donation. They intended that money to go to you, and so they still get credit for that. And then just a reminder about in Salesforce that we do have a tracking mechanism for donations through intermediary organizations. So I can show you that very quickly here. On the contributions, if you're submitting a contribution, when you fill out the form, you have the option, is this gift through an intermediary organization? And then you can click yes or no. And I will go over again how to select the organization name as well. So you have to look up the donor. So at this point, you're able to search for the intermediary organization. So when I click here, it automatically pops up a couple of our test ones that we've done previously because I typed them in previously. If this is your first time, you're going to have to actually type in something to search. And so if you search Colorado Gives Foundation, it might just pop up here, or you might have to click show more results. If you do have one that is not in the system, you're going to have to basically leave this blank and then click next. And this is where you put in the organization from scratch. And so remember, an intermediary is a nonprofit organization that passes the funds from the donor to you directly. And so they do have an FEIN as their tax ID, and that's to help us just make sure we don't have any duplicates that we're tracking in the system. Any questions on the intermediary organization piece? There's a question about stock gifts in the chat. Okay. So we do have a couple questions about stocks. And I'm probably going to hold those till the end of the presentation portion, if that's okay. So, so yeah, we can cover those questions after these updates. Oh, I'm sorry. Going all over the place. Here we go. Okay, Canva walkthrough. So just a reminder, Canva is an option for you to have free access to graphic design materials. You do have to, if you have not already, you have to apply as a nonprofit and show that you have nonprofit status in order to get that free account with the premium access where you get some of the more fancy designs and branding options. We do have some Canva templates that I shared at the training last month. And hot off the press, as of today, we do have some email graphics and instructions that are available to you. So just got those in time for the office hours. So I'm just going to show those here. And these will be added to our website shortly. But like I said, that these are brand new, so that we haven't been able to add those yet. So I just clicked on the link and it took me to Canva where I'm able to edit the template or use the template. So I'm going to click edit template. And it also has links here to the other templates we have for the social media. And it has some instructions here. So you'll want to make some edits to these. This is not meant to be something that basically is you copy and paste totally. You need to actually read it and determine, does this align with our tax credit amount if you're a rural organization, for example? Do we need to add our logo? So for the email, hopefully your email has your organization's logo in it already. And so these email templates don't have a place for the logo. It's more of like a header for you to be able to pop in if you use MailChimp or some other email system, that you can use this as an image, as an attention grabbing element. So we do ask just for accessibility that you add alternative text. So when you put a image in an email, you can pretty easily add alternative text. This is for people with low vision who are unable to read the text on the graphic, for them to be able to use a screen reader and understand everything that's within the email. And so this is a link for you to be able to see, how does alt text work? How do I do this? So this is hopefully enough for you to get started on being able to pick one of these, maybe whichever one you like for an email campaign that you have. You can definitely use these for your tax credit outreach with your donors. I'm also going to show you how to actually download, because this, you may not want, you probably don't want all three of these in one file. So if you make your edits and you decide you want to use one of these images, you go over here and click share, and click download. And you can use the pick the file type here. So for, if it's just an image, PNG is great. If it's a more of a flyer that you're working with, then you'd probably want to do a PDF. But since these are images, PNG is a great choice for that. And then you'll need to select your pages. So you want to pay attention. Say if I really like this this graphic right here, that one's page 5. So this is the one I want to download to use in my email campaign. I'm just going to select that one here. Oh, sorry. Uncheck these other ones. And it's right now only page 5 is selected. So I'm going to click done, download. And it downloads to my computer, where I'm then able to view it as an image and use it in my emails or social media. So wanted to go over that with you, as kind of just digging in further on how to use these materials. Any other questions on this? And I do see a question about if this recording will be shared. Yes, I'm hoping by tomorrow we'll be able to get that email out. Any other questions about Canva or these materials that we provided? Looks like we have a contribution question. We can get to that later. I did want to review some Salesforce glitches that have occurred over the past couple of weeks. These have been reported to OIT, and they're currently trying to figure out what's going on in the back end. Very possibly, it looks like it could have been a Salesforce wide update that was in October that just changes some things in the background. And so we're looking at effects from that. And so right now we've seen that some Yahoo and AOL email addresses from donors they're not receiving the emails from Salesforce. So if you try to send a certificate to one of your donors with a Yahoo email address, they very well may not be receiving that. And then we've also seen some donors say that their certificate links are broken. They receive the email, but then the certificate link is broken. And this has come through, I think, just a couple of times. This has been in this week, actually. So if you have encountered either of these glitches, please email us, because it helps us to determine who is experiencing this, and it helps the IT department understand kind of where the issue is coming from and to try to get a resolution on these glitches. There is a workaround that some organizations have found success with. You can provide them the general certificate access link, and then all they have to do is put in their certificate access code and their personal information to access that. So I can show you in Salesforce how to get that link for the certificate. So you go to the tax credits. This is you as the nonprofit. You click on the certificate that needs to be delivered. And here's the certificate key right here. So this is where you can copy and paste it. And this is a way, again, for them to access it securely, because you can, download the PDF and mail it to the donor. But we don't encourage you to email the PDF, because that's not really a secure way to do that, especially if it's an unencrypted email. So if you provide the certificate key and the link to the certificate, then they can do it themselves. So for example, if I go to this certificate access link, this is what the donor can do. They can just paste that link or paste that certificate key here. And then they put in their personal information, which is their first and last name and the last four of their tax ID. And then they're able to access their certificate. So this is a workaround for the glitches that are occurring right now. If somebody's link in the email doesn't work, or they don't receive the email. So again, please let us know if that happens for you. But hopefully this process will help you work around that in the meantime. Any questions on the Salesforce stuff? Okay. Just reminding some program requirements. So we do ask for organizations to remain active in HCTC and abide by the minimum requirements that we have. So that's $5,000 for this tax year of contributions that you log for HCTC and you provide tax credits for. So that could be one donor gives you $5,000 and qualifies for HCTC, then you meet that requirement. If you have 5 donors, however, that would qualify as well. So if you have 5 $100 gifts that are HCTC eligible and you log those, that meets the minimum requirement as well. And this just helps us make sure that everyone is able to participate fully in the tax credit program. And if you do have, concerns about these minimums, please reach out. Happy to talk about that. Some reminders of upcoming dates. We have some orientation dates available. for new staff. So if you have you're new to your organization, you want to make sure that you just understand the general policies with HCTC or have questions about how things work. Orientation is a wonderful way to get an overview of all aspects of the program. So we have 3 dates that are scheduled coming up. So please reach out to us if you want to be added to one of those. It's a great refresher. If you haven't had a chance to dig into HCTC personally, happy to have you there. Our annual report collection form for your organization will be sent in early January. And so just a heads up about that to keep that on your radar. In January, contribution entries will be due January 31st. And so on February 1st, those certificates are produced within Salesforce. So that means if you're on a quarterly or annual time frame for your organization certificates, those are available as of February 1st, but you have to get them in before January 31st for those to be included on the certificates that are produced. Because after that point, you have to use the late contribution form to log those individually. And it's just not as streamlined of a process for you or for the donor necessarily. So just keep that in mind as you're busy this holiday season, giving season, to remember to get those in by the end of January. Any questions on these? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording as that's the end of our official